अग्ने अत्र वन्मनसा गृणानो ओस्माकं बोधविता तनूनां प्रतनाजतकं जित्सहमानमुग्रमग्निं हुवें परमासिदस्तात् सन्नः पर्षदति दुर्गानि विश्वा क्षामदेवो अतिदुर्तात्य अग्निः प्रत्नोषिकमिद्यो अध्वरेषु सनाच होता नव्यश्च सस्ति स्वाञ्च अग्नितनुवं पिप्रयस्य स्मभ्यं च सौभगमायजस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयजो निषिक्तन्त्रवेन्द्र विष्णुनुसञ्चरे नाकस्य पृष्ठमभि संवसानो वैष्णवी लोक इहामादयन्ताम् ॐ कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गे प्रचोदयात् ॐ दुं दुर्गाय नमः ब्राह्मणोऽसमुखमासीर्बाहुराजनिकृत उरुतरस्य द्वेष पद्भ्यां शूद्रो जायत चन्द्रमा मनसो जात चक्षो सूर्यो जायत मुखादिन्द्रशग्निश्च प्राणाद्वायुर्जायत ॐ नाभ्यासिरन्तरिक्षागं शीष्णाढ्यां समवर्तत पद्भ्यां भूमिर्दशः स्रोता तथा लोकान् कल्पयन् ॐ दुं दुर्गाय नमः नैवेद्यं समर्पयामि नमः गुं पुङ्गिफलं महादिव्यं नागफलीदलेरितम् एलाविचूर्णसंयुक्तं ताम्बूलं प्रतिगृहीताम् ॐ यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मन्तरे कृतानि च तानि सर्वाणि नश्यन्तु प्रदक्षिणा परे परे ॐ दुं दुर्गाय नमः नीलाञ्जनज्योतिः समर्पयामि नमः गुं Does anyone have prasad? Om. यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्यो झमृतात् सम्भवोवः समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवादारुणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विशस्वरं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहिता श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ मेधा देवी जुषमान न आगाद्विश्वाची भद्रा सुमनस्य मान त्वया जुष्टानुरमान दुरुक्तान् बृहद्वतीं वितथे सुवीराः त्वया जुष्टा ऋषिर्भवति देवी त्वया ब्रह्मागतक्षीरुत त्वया जुष्टच्छित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्व द्रविणो न मेधे मेधां म इन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधा मे अश्विनावुभावा दतां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः देवीं मेधा सरस्वती सा मा मेधा सुरभिर्जुषता स्वाहा आमा मेधा सुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगति जगम्य ऊर्ध्वसती पयसा पिन्वमाना सा मा मेधा सुप्रतीका जुषन्तां मयि मेधा मयि प्रजा मयिग्नस्तेजो दधातु मयि मेधा मयि प्रजा मयि इन्द्र इन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधा मयि प्रजा मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो ददातु ॐ हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंसः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ओम् श्री दुर्गा माता की जय।
लक्ष्मी कल्याणी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी। सब आए शरण तिहारी मैया, आए शरण तिहारी मैया, दे दर्शन महारानी, दे दर्शन महारानी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी। तू मंगल में पावन मैया, कृपा सदा बरसावे, दीन दुखी शरणागत जन के, बिगड़े काज बनावे। तू अनंत महादानी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी। देव सभी आराधन करते, ऋषि मुनि ध्यान लगाते, इस नश्वर संसार के प्राणी तेरी कीरत गाते। तू देवी वरदानी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी। सब आए शरण तिहारी मैया, आए शरण तिहारी मैया, दे दर्शन महारानी, जय दर्शन महारानी, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी मैया, जय लक्ष्मी कल्याणी। शक्ति दे माँ, 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 शक्ति दे माँ। पग पग धो कर खाऊं, चल ना पाऊं, कैसे गाऊं मैं घर तेरे। शक्ति दे माँ, 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 शक्ति दे माँ। हाथ पकड़ ले, हाथ बढ़ा ले, अपने मंदिर तक पहुँचा दे। हाथ पकड़ ले, हाथ बढ़ा ले, अपने मंदिर तक पहुँचा दे। सर पे दुख की रेना लागी, नैना प्यासी नैना दर्शन के। शक्ति दे माँ, 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 शक्ति दे माँ। जग में जिसका नाम है जीवन, एक युद्ध है संग्राम है जीवन। जग में जिसका नाम है जीवन, एक युद्ध है संग्राम है जीवन। तेरा नाम पुकारा, दुख का मारा, माहे हारा इस जीवन से। शक्ति दे माँ, 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 शक्ति दे माँ। पग पग धो कर खाऊं, चल ना पाऊं, कैसे गाऊं मैं घर तेरे। शक्ति दे माँ, 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 शक्ति दे माँ। जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया। माँ तुम्हारी है निराले जगदम्बे मैया, महिमा तुम्हारी है निराले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की
बोलो श्री दुर्गा माता की जय। ओम गं गणपतये नमः। ओम गं गणपतये नमः। ओम गं गणपतये नमः। गजाननं भूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलचारुभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम्। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये। करारविन्दे न पदारविन्दं मुखारविन्दे विनिवेशयन्त्रं वतस्य पत्रस्य पुतेशयानं बालमुकुन्द मनसा स्मरामि। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। लोकाभिरामं रणरङ्गधीरं राजीवनेत्रं रघुवंशनाथं कारुण्यरूपं करुणाकरन्तं श्रीरामचन्द्रं मनसा स्मरामि। श्रीराम जय राम जय जय राम। 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 या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिर्देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मा पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेषजाध्यापः। लक्ष्मीकरोतु कल्याणम् आरोग्यं सुखसम्पदं मम शत्रुविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते। नमस्ते सते ते जगत्कारणाय नमस्ते चिते सर्वलोकाश्रयाय नमो द्वैततत्त्वाय मुक्तिप्रदाय नमो ब्रह्मणे व्यापने शाश्वताय। ॐ नमो दिव्ये महादिव्ये शिवाय सततं नमः। नमः प्रकृत्य भद्राय नियताः प्रणतास्मतां। रौद्राय नमो नित्याय गौरीधात्रे नमो नमः। ज्योत्स्नाय चिन्दरूपिण्ये सुखाय सततं नमः। कल्याणे प्रणतां वृद्धे सिद्धे कुर्मो नमो नमः नैऋत्ये भूभृतां लक्ष्मे शर्वाण्येते नमो नमः दुर्गाये दुर्गापाराये साराय सर्वकारिण्ये ख्याते तथैव कृष्णाय धूम्राय सततं नमः अतिसौम्यातिरौद्राय नतास्तस्यै नमो नमः नमो जगत्प्रतिष्ठाय दिव्ये कृत्ये नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु या देवी सर्वभूतेषु विष्णुमायिति शब्दिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु चेतनेत्यभिधीयते नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु बुद्धिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु निद्रारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शुद्धारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु छायारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु तृष्णारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु जातिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु लज्जारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु कान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु लक्ष्मीरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु वृत्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु स्मृतिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु दयारूपेण संस्थिता
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु तुष्टिरूपेण संस्थिता
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु भ्रान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
इन्द्रियाणामधिष्ठात्री भूतानां चाखुलेश्वय भूतेषु सततं तस्यै व्यापि दिव्यै नमो नमः चित्तिरूपेण या कृत्स्नमेतद्व्याप्य स्थिता जगत् नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
ॐ नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः
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 नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः
नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः। बोलो श्री दुर्गा माता की जय। जय माता दी। Jai Sitaram, everyone. I think everyone decided to hibernate today. The weather has scared you a little bit, and most of you have stayed home. But that's okay. Satsang continues on, and we continue to provide you with this live stream katha for those that are at home in the warmth. Enjoy it. I think I've always said that February is the coldest month. I don't know if this is a true statement based on science or not, but certainly it is true for the start of February at least. Stay warm and hope that everyone is having a great Friday, a great start to their weekend already. Today we want to talk about a very important topic, because this is a topic that can change your life. This is something that can make a difference in how you live. And we start by understanding that this mind that we have, this mana that we possess, is very, very complex. When you are looking at me right now, you're seeing me through two windows. These are called your eyes. But when we're looking through these windows and we're seeing the world, we're not conscious that we're using these organs, our sense organs. Some of you are seeing me through glasses, like me. Some of you through contacts. Some of you are sitting very far away. Some of you are sitting close. Some of you at home are not even looking at the screen, but you're listening to me, I hope. You see, we all are seeing the same things, but when we're all looking with the same view that we believe is unique, we are all seeing from different perspectives. Some of us are sitting higher than others, like I am. And notice that when I see you, you are seeing a different thing, that I'm seeing a different thing. I can see you, but you cannot see yourself. Even though the objects and the situation and the environment around us is the same, our view on that is very, very different. And that is because each of our perspectives is different. There's a beautiful story online I read, and it illustrates just how all of us are truly different. One day, a master, he assigned his student to have a debate with a sadhu that was visiting nearby. And the sadhu challenged this student with a silent debate. And it just so happened that this student, he had only one eye, but he was very knowledgeable. He was studying under the master. Now, after this debate, soon after, the sadhu who had the debate with the student, he came to the master. He came running to the master and he said, "Your student is too good for me. I held up in this silent debate one finger to symbolize dharma. But your student, he held up two fingers to symbolize dharma and karma." The sadhu says, "So I held up three fingers for dharma, karma, and moksha. And instead of holding up four fingers, the student, he held up a fist, a clenched fist, to symbolize that we were all one, that all of these qualities were all one and the same. And so I ran away to you to indicate that I am no match for him in that debate." After the sadhu spoke these words, he left, and the student now arrived to the master. The student was angry, he was out of breath, and he says, "Where is that coward?" He said, "First, he insulted me by holding up one finger to indicate that I only had one eye. And then, in being polite, I held up two fingers to indicate that yes, he was blessed with two eyes, but I am not any less." But the sadhu just kept rubbing it in, and he held up three fingers to indicate that there were three eyes amongst us. And instead of holding up any other fingers, I went to go and hit him and he ran away. The sadhu said that he was holding up nothing to indicate all of it was the same, but the student was really holding up the fist to hit the sadhu for insulting him. This is the perspective that we have in life. That on one hand, we are seeing one thing, we're understanding one thing, but the person next to us is seeing a completely different thing. The person next to us is understanding something else. What we see, what we understand, it is very, very different than the people next to us. And as I said earlier, this topic, it is something that can provide us with a good change in your life. It could change your life in many different ways. Because when you have a good perspective on life, then your life becomes good. You know what they say? That you see the glass half full instead of half empty. That you see life in a good way instead of in a negative way. But sometimes you need to recognize a situation for what it is based on your perspective, because you've had an experience to tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And maybe those around you did not have that same experience. In the Ramcharitmanas, it tells us exactly why. You see? Ram Siya Ram Jai Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
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 हो दस मुख सकल कथाते ही आगे, दस मुख सकल कथाते ही आगे, कही सहित अभिमान अभागे। राम
Ram Jai Jai Ram.
हो कपट मृग तुम चला करी, हो कपट मृग तुम चलाकारी, जही विधि हरि आनो नृप नारी।
Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
राम सिया राम, सिया राम, जय जय राम।
Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
राम सिया राम, सिया राम, जय जय राम।
Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
सिया राम, जय जय राम।
Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
दस मुख सकल कथाते ही आगे, कही सहित अभिमान अभागे। हो कपट मृग तुम्ह चलकारी, जेहि विधि हरि आनौ नृप नारी। One day, of course, Dasamukh, he is called the 10-mouthed one. Who is he? Ravana. He approached an elder of his named Marich, and he decided to ask Marich for a favor. He decided to ask Marich to help him with something. What was it that he needed to do? He explained the entire katha. He explained the entire story to Marich about what had happened to his sister and to his brothers. How Prabhu Shri Ram, Lakshmana and Sita had insulted him, and how he wanted to take revenge. This was Ravana's perspective. He saw the situation that Prabhu Shri Ram has insulted him and his family, and he wanted to take it on to himself to solve the situation. Now we know that the situation he is trying to solve, and in the manner he is trying to solve it, is wrong. But this is Ravana's perspective nonetheless. And after he relays this katha, this story to Marich, what does Marich do? He tells Ravana that, Ravana, you should not get into any trouble with Prabhu Shri Ram. Do not bother trying to provoke him. Do not bother trying to fight him. Why? Because Marich once fought Prabhu Shri Ram before. And Prabhu Shri Ram had to clear this ashram of demons. And he took an arrow that did not have the tip on it, a headless arrow. And he shot it at Marich. That arrow pushed Marich back for miles and miles away and cleared him from the path of the sadhus in the ashram. Now this is Marich's perspective. He looks at Ravana. He hears what Ravana wants to do. That he wants to get into this fight with Prabhu Shri Ram to get this revenge. And he thinks about what has happened to him in this past. And he says to Ravana that you should not do this. Based on my perspective and my experience, this is not a good idea. But as you know, Ravana threatens Marich that if he does not do it, that if he does not transform into a deer to trick Ram, Lakshmana and Sita, that he would slay him on the spot. And so Marich, given the choice, he has to oblige. He has to comply with Ravana's order. The different perspectives here is very interesting. That Marich, knowing all of this, tries to tell Ravana not to engage in battle, but he does not listen. And a little bit of that is because kahi sahita abhimana abhage, that Ravana has this abhiman, this ego that blinds him from seeing another person's perspective. The way that we can learn in this life is by opening our minds to see and hear what others have to say. No matter what it is that they're saying, if we think that what they're saying is wrong, incorrect, the least that we can do, the minimum that we should do, what we should do in every case is to listen to what they're saying. We might not agree with it. We don't have to agree with it. But at least we hear them out. We hear their point of view, and we try to understand from their perspective what is happening. Now, Marich had that perspective, and Ravana did not listen because his ego was blinding him. So he did not let any of this happen. In this life, we have to have a good perspective. Something that can take us onto a better path in life. Something that can change our day so that we can think positively, so that we can open our minds to all of this. I don't know about you, but I have found that with prayers, this is possible. With prarthana, this is possible. With puja, this is possible. However you want to worship, that is a way that you can open up this positivity within yourself. Because when we start our day with prayers, with bhajans, with puja, then we start on a different note. And you'll see, for those that work at home, before you jump out of your bed and onto the computer to start work, if you take some time to do some prayers, what happens? You break that gap between having to be stressed out at work and having to have comfort in your bed. And you delay that response of what's going to happen, so that the next day when you wake up, you don't think to yourself, now I have to start work. No, now you have to start prayers. And after your prayers, you feel good. You feel like something has changed within you. You feel more at calm, at ease, and with more peace. This is the same way that thinking positively in your life can change what is happening around you. Sometimes you can think too positively, in fact. I went to the optometrist, and he told me that he has to change my prescription. But he did not want to change it more than it needed to be because it can cause overcorrection. I didn't know that this was a thing. He said that if you put a stronger prescription than you need it can be worse for your eyes. It makes sense. In the same way, when we have too much of something, too much of a positive thing or positivity within us, we can also be blinded in the same way that ego blinds us. Ravana was blinded by ego, but having too much positiveness within you can blind you as well. You fail to see that the wrong that can happen with your actions. You think always that good things will come out of it. It's good to think that way, but again, too much can lead you down a different path in life. And there's something called blind spots that we have. If you take a leadership course, they tell you about this. Blind spots are things that you have, that you say, parts of your personality where it is negative, but you cannot see it. You do not understand that that part is not good for your leadership style. You do not understand that the way that you're saying something will be not so good for your employees. I spoke about speaking sweetly last week. A blind spot would be not speaking sweetly to someone. These are things that affect us, but we don't even know that they're there, much like the blind spot on a car. We might not know that there's someone there, but yet we try to make the action anyways. We try to make the change anyways. Blind spots are things that can happen when we're too positive. We do not think that we have anything to change. Positive thinking can be as simple as understanding the little changes in your life. I wanted to stop drinking so much pop and juice. And so I was telling someone one day that I take a glass of water and I pour just a few drops of juice inside. Or I take a glass of water and I put a few drops of Pepsi inside. And they said, that's disgusting. He said, that's not going to taste good at all. It's just going to taste like watered down juice. I said, it depends how you think about it. It can taste like watered down juice, or it can taste like flavored water. You see the difference? It depends how you think about it. If I think about it as drinking more water, and I'm drinking this water, but it has flavor in it, then it becomes a different perspective. I feel more inclined to drink it. I don't think that it tastes bad. Bhagavan Shri Krishna also says that our perspective will have to change in this life. Who did he tell us to? Of course, let us see. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
He Nath Narayan Vasudeva
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva
Na tu mam shakyase drashtu mananaiva swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuh Pashme yogameshwaram Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
He Nath Narayan Vasudeva
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda
Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva
He Nath Narayan Vasudeva He Nath Narayan Vasudeva. This is a very popular verse. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says to Arjuna that these present eyes of yours, O Arjuna, will not be able to see me and my transcendental form. Therefore, I grant you divine sight. Behold the omnipotent majesty of my ultimate transcendental power. What does he say? He says that as he reveals his form, his transcendental form to Arjuna. He tells him that you cannot see this unless I give you this divya chakshuhu. Unless I give you this divine sight. Unless I give you this divine perspective, O Arjuna, there is no way that you can see me with those eyes that you are currently using. You see, Bhagwan Shri Krishna had to change the sight of Arjuna, had to change his perspective into a positive one, into a divine one, so he was able to see what he was trying to show him. Many people might say to us that you have become God, you have become godly if you go to mandir. They might even say that you go there so much, you follow everything that they do. It seems like you're part of a cult. And they insult you in this way to tell you that all of these things that you're doing is not good. But they don't understand what the involvement in dharma, in your religion can do for you. They don't understand the closeness with God, what it means to you. And only you can know what it does to change your life into a positive one. Only you can know what it does to frame your perspective into a positive one, into a good one. And their perspective is not framed in the same way as yours, so they do not understand what it is you're doing. And this is true for everything that people disagree on. Their perspective is very, very different. On a more serious note now, when I'm thinking about the recent defacing of the Gauri Shankar Mandir in Brampton, I'm sure many of you have seen it on social media, what has happened. We have to take a step back, because when I first heard of this, I got a little upset. I did not understand why this was happening. And my initial response is to be upset at the person, whoever has done this. Of course, this is not something that we condone. As Guruji posted, this is something that we condemn as an organization, as a community. This is not something that we want to happen. We want to be angry, but the person that has done this is probably angry as well. If we take a step back to look at what has happened, that the only way a person can do this, you might think, is if they are very, very angry as well. Maybe there's something that they are feeling that we do not. And it is still unacceptable for what they have done. But maybe if we respond with empathy, we respond to try and acknowledge what their perspective is on life, then we can make some common ground. Because in a situation like this, we can either hurt or we can try to be empathic and understand what it is that this person is going through to have these types of actions. And when we have a changed perspective as a community, we can change the world around us, of course. And as a West Indian community, primarily, we are removed from these politics. And we, of course, still feel these effects in our community when it happens, but we're very removed from what is happening in their world. And so, if we take a step back, maybe we can understand what it is they're going through and feel a little bit of empathy towards that person, to help them if they need help. To recap what we've learned today, perspective is something that we all have that is very different from one another. Our different perspectives sometimes cause us to disagree. It causes us to not understand one another's point of view. And when we have a good perspective in life, it can change our life. To have a good perspective, sometimes it is as simple as offering prayers, singing a bhajan, doing something positive to break the cycle that you're in. And once we have a good perspective, we can have a divine perspective. Once we're able to see through many different perspectives and understand people around us, what they may be going through, then we can take the next step to have Divya Chakshuhu, a divine perspective, to understand more about the world, more about the people around us, and to understand how to get closer to God as the ultimate result always. Bolo Shri Durga Mata Ki Jai. Today we have a dedication. This is a very happy birthday, happy 68th birthday to our beloved mom and grandma Edith. May Ma Durga continue to bless you with good health, strength, and happiness always. We love you from your daughter Tracy, son-in-law Alvin, and your 2 grandchildren Daniela and Travin. Happy 68th birthday to you, Grandma Edith. Thank you for sponsoring with us, and we'd like to dedicate this bhajan to you before we stand for Aarti. कभी दुर्गा बन के कभी काली बन के चले आना मैया जी चले आना कभी दुर्गा बन के कभी काली बन के चले आना मैया जी चले आना हो चले आना मैया जी चले आना चले आना मैया जी चले आना तुम दुर्गा रूप में आना तुम दुर्गा रूप में आना सिंह साथ लेके चक्र हाथ लेके चले आना मैया जी चले आना कभी दुर्गा बन के कभी काली बन के चले आना मैया जी चले आना ओ चले आना मैया जी चले आना ओ तुम काली रूप में आना 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 कपर हाथ लेके योगी साथ लेके चले आना मैया जी चले आना कभी दुर्गा बन के कभी काली बन के चले आना मैया जी चले आना ओ चले आना मैया जी चले आना ओ चले आना मैया जी चले आना ओ चले आना मैया जी चले आना बोलो श्री दुर्गा माता की जय Happy birthday to you. Happy 68th birthday to you, Grandma Edith. Thank you. Let us now all please stand for Aarti, everyone. Om Yani Kani Chapapani Janamantar Kritani Cha Tani Sarvani Nashyantu Pradakshina Pare Pare
Om Jai Ambe Gauri Maya Jai Shama Gauri Jai Ambe Gauri Maya Jai Shama Gauri तुमको निश दिन ध्यावत मैया जी को निश दिन ध्यावत हरि ब्रह्मा शिव जी ओम जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय श्यामा गौरी मांग सिंदूर विराजत रक्त पुष्प गणमाला, रक्त पुष्प गणमाला, कंठहार साजे ओम जय अम्बे गौरी, मैया जय श्यामा गौरी, कानन कुंडल शोभित नासाग्रे मोती, मैया नासाग्रे मोती, कौतिक चंद्र दिवाकर, कौतिक चंद्र दिवाकर, राजत सम ज्योति ओम जय अम्बे गौरी, मैया जय श्यामा गौरी, मैया जय श्यामा गौरी।
ॐ शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णु भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथं सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव। We all bow. Om Guru Brahma Gururvishnu Gurudevo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. बोले मापति महादेव की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सिया भज रामचंद्र की जय, श्री दुर्गा माता की जय, सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय। सबको जय जय सीताराम। जय माता दी। Thank you for joining with us, everyone. Have a great night.